Hi, I am Melissa Banko, and welcome to the Banko Buzz, a commercial interior design podcast. As a professional leader in our design industry, we found that there were a lot of questions that were coming to me and to us about business and growth and mentorship and really the people behind the design. So we created the Banko Buzz. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for joining us on the Banko Buzz. Hey, and welcome back to another episode of the Banko Buzz. I have a good friend and colleague here with me today, Miss Jessye Archer. Hey, welcome to the Banko Buzz.
Howdy. How's it going?
All right, so if whoever's watching, if you have your visual on today, we're in our overalls. This was planned. We're twinsies today, talking all things design build. Jessye and I were introduced on a project that we're currently working on together, and we just had to have her on the podcast because, you know, here on the Banko Buzz, we're talking about all things commercial design and inspo and consultants and what that looks like. But what we haven't talked about yet on the podcast is the magical humans that have to build the stuff that we draw all day. So Jesse's going to give us some insight on how crazy we drive her on site. So we're so excited to have her here today. Jessye, I'm going to start with a question of just, you know, tell me, is it a blessing or a curse to just carry around as much coolness as you do all day? And did that start as a child, just this energy that you carry? Or was this something we found later in life? Like, it's got to be tough to be as cool as you are. Day in and day out. My God, how hard that must be. So tell us about that.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Yeah, there's a song line that says something about I never was cool. So it's a very interesting perspective, but
we disagree. Everybody here at Banko adores you and thinks you're very cool.
So kind. So
all right, so tell us, give us the background of how you landed in construction and, you know, give us sort of those milestones, because you have a really cool background. It wasn't necessarily like a super shot to being a builder and to being in construction. And being a woman in construction is hard, right? Being the minority and having that voice. But give us some of those milestones, because you have a wicked cool background. So give our audience just a little snapshot of maybe how we got to current day, and then we'll talk about some juicy stuff of what is happening.
Yeah, sure. That sounds great. So, yeah, I mean, long and winding road for me to get where I am today. I was a bit of a wild child as a kid.
I think that's why you and I connect well.
Yeah. And not only that, but, you know, there are lots of things that I have figured out that I like and things that I don't like, you know. And some of the things that I don't like are sitting still and being bored and doing things twice. And so all those things didn't exactly bode well for a college education. Turns out you have to sit still and you have to do things twice. And so, you know, my parents at some point looked at me in my early 20s and said, you got to figure this out. You got to go do something. And I was fortunate enough to come from a family of folks who had spent some time in the military. And my stepdad, was active duty Air Force at the time. And that just seemed like a really great option. It was, at the time, it was 3 hots and a cot and probably a little bit of discipline that I needed. And so I went into it kind of wide-eyed, and I loved it. I absolutely fell in love with being in the military. It was all the things that I hadn't had the opportunity to experience before that, right? I was in constant motion, and the job that I did, I learned lots of things. There was always something new every day. And there was also a certain amount of structure that I appreciated, and discipline that I appreciated. Do this, chop wood, carry water.
Were you surprised by that, being kind of a wild child and kind of going in? Were you like, I can't believe I actually enjoy how structured that is? Was that a surprise to you?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I was, you know, it's funny. As a kid, I played sports. And so being a part of a team was something that I really enjoyed. It's something that I still enjoy. It's why I do what I do. But yeah, I recognized quickly that I loved being a part of a team. I loved being part of something bigger than me. You know, I liked being a small part of a greater good. And so I loved being in the Air Force. That was really the first thing that launched me to a set of things that I liked. What was interesting about it is I didn't stay there for very long. And I didn't stay there for very long because one of the amazing things that the Air Force teaches you is it teaches you this deep sense of integrity. And with that deep sense of integrity meant that at the time, being gay and being in the military wasn't a thing that was allowed. Fortunately, there was don't ask, don't tell. But in order to live my authentic truth and to be who I was, I just couldn't do both. I couldn't stay in the Air Force and be who I am. And so I made a hard decision to leave the Air Force, even though I loved the career that I had there. But I just knew that I couldn't wake up every day and not be me, not be who I am. And so I left the military, and then I floundered a little bit more for a few more years. I was really looking for something, again, that I could be hands-on, that I could learn, that I could stay in motion. And one of my favorite parts about this story is I really wanted to work for Home Depot. I thought, if I could get into construction, I grew up with a bunch of uncles and dad who were, hands-on, wrenched on things, and I was always fascinated by that as a kid. If I could work for Home Depot, maybe I could learn what it is to, put things together and learn about construction. And I'm persistent and tenacious enough that despite the fact that I didn't have a college degree, I made my way into Home Depot.
Hi, I'm Melissa Banko, founder and visionary here at Banko Design. Welcome to season 2 of the Banko Buzz, where we are focusing on all of the seasons that each of us go through in our career paths. We're talking to lots of partners and consultants and advocates for our industry. Tune in and follow us along this entire season. And also, you can find us on anywhere that you listen to your podcasts.
And I was terrible at that job.
Why?
Terrible.
Isn't that funny? You're like, if I can get there, that's like the best.
I'm gonna.
And then you get there and you're like, this sucks.
Oh my God, I was terrible at it. I was right person, wrong seat, right?
Okay.
I mean,
Yep.
and it was this job where my job was to solve problems for installed sales, right? So if somebody went in, installed a kitchen, and something went wrong, but I sat in a cubicle and talked on the phone to people, and they just wore me out all day long, and so I wasn't good at that job, and I came.
So you were doing things twice, and you were bored, and you had to sit still.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So, like you said, not the right seat.
Not the right seat. This close to being fired. Like,
Oh, okay.
this close. Like this close.
You're like, I feel like we're both on the same page here. I gotta go.
Yeah, this close. And I really was at a place where I'm almost at the time. I'm 29.
You're really young.
Yeah, I'm young, but I'm not. I'm supposed to really have a claw on the rug by now, and I just don't.
Supposed to. Okay.
Right.
All right.
And I just don't feel like I do. And I had a buddy at Home Depot whose husband worked for John Wieland Homes and Neighborhoods, which is a local regional home builder, and they had a position that was very similar to the position I did at Home Depot, but it was out in the field.
There you go.
And I got to go be hands-on and see the problem and solve the problem and interact with humans and make these problems become something that we could work with and that we could solve for people. And that's how I got my foot in the door in home building.
Yeah.
And it was at John Wieland, and it was great because John Wieland Homes and Neighborhoods was the place where it was very much like the Air Force for me again. It was a place where I was always learning something new. It was a place that had deep values. Like I'm, driven by deep sense of, integrity and doing something worthwhile and doing something well. And they had all those things as a part of their company culture. But they also allowed me to be who I was. And I could have gone there and still kind of hidden myself. And I certainly didn't show up with a rainbow flag over my head. But I also made a
That would have been awesome, by the way.
That would have been kind of cool. But I made a real conscious decision to be who I was and to have my wife at the events with me and to never replace pronouns, and I just decided that's who I was going to be and be my authentic self. And it turns out that's the secret sauce, right? Like that's what allowed me to start to grow in a career was being my authentic me.
Were you surprised by the inclusion? Was it, do you think maybe you put more fear into the, can I be me, to actually doing it? And then, I mean, was there acceptance? Do you feel like it was weird? Or were you like, okay, I did it, and like, this feels good, and I am being accepted and loved and all of those things? And like, do you think maybe you amped it up to more than it was? I don't ask that.
Maybe both and, right?
Yeah.
There for sure, right? Like, I think there's this thing where you spend a lot of time, or at least I did in my 20s and maybe even into my 30s, trying to get my outsides or my insides to match other people's outsides.
Oh.
Right? Like, I would see the college degree, or the certain look, or the amount of femininity, or the amount of polish or poise, or those things, a particular upbringing, and I would try to get my outsides to match that, and get my insides to match that, and I think that ultimately, to the point, I probably did make a little bit bigger deal about the fact that I happen to be married to a woman, and not to a man.
Well, and not like a bigger deal. Maybe that's the wrong, like, verbiage, but just maybe we're in our heads maybe too. And, listen, I'm straight, so I'm not speaking to, but from an inclusion standpoint, from a female standpoint, in a male dominated, industry, sometimes we're our own worst enemy, I guess is what I'm trying to say, where it's like you build up that I need to be this certain way. I need to look this certain way. I need to say the certain things, because if I don't, I'm not going to be included. And as humans, we just want to be included. Everyone wants to just be included. The definition of happiness is being needed by other humans. So I guess that's what I mean. Not that you made it a bigger deal. I think that sounds too negative. It's just, do you think maybe there was just... Do you think there's truth to that we, sort of build these things up, that we have to be a certain way when you end up being your authentic self, and people are like, yeah, girl, like, cool, do you think you're badass,
Totally. And it's funny. It's one of those things that after so long of, making it out to be something more than it is, right? Being in your head about it. Yeah. After a lot of time of being in your head about it, I think when people do accept you and the love that you feel, you got to get to a place where you can feel it, right? Where you can take it in.
Accept it. Absolutely.
Accept the, that caring. And of course, right, I met so many amazing humans along the way. I talk a lot about John Wieland put together just this incredible team of people. My team here is made up of, I don't know, I've counted recently, 12 of our 16 people are from John Wieland Homes and Neighborhoods.
That's so
cool. And
cool.
it's because it just created these lifelong friendships, lifelong colleagues, and I met some incredible humans who were really there to do good work together, and to care about each other, and to care about our clients, and to care about the thing that we were delivering, this amazing, tangible, beautiful thing that somebody gets to live in, and have Christmas in, or have that big graduation party in. And, that's ultimately, that's what fuels my passion,
Well, I mean, it's not just the work we do, right? I think a much bigger piece of that is the people we do it alongside. So it wouldn't make it nearly as special if you weren't really invested personally with the people that you're doing work with, right? It would just be too superficial. So John Wieland, you meet some amazing people, and then there is this next step to where you're. So talk to us about that, because there are a lot of, younger designers and people who are discovering their own careers, and, potentially women in construction who are like, okay, so that's really cool. Like, I work somewhere and you're at this amazing company, you meet all these amazing people, like a jump to where you're at, that takes some balls. So, like, what does that look like? And what was that internal narrative of, hey, next step? Like, if you're at this great place, how do you know when it's time for a change? And how did that come about in your journey to be where you're at now?
Yeah. Thank you. Good question. So, funny, a lot of it is born of just necessity, right? A lot of those big decisions and big leaps are often, at least in my experience, born of necessity. And so I happened to be in home building at the time when the housing market took an absolute disaster.
Nosedive. Just boom.
Right? Yeah, just as I started to really hit my stride, we were playing cards. at our desks, because
Yeah.
there was literally, we were on hold. The banks weren't lending, the world wasn't buying houses. And, I watched a company that Mr. Wieland had built from 1,250 employees shrink to 250 employees. And I was one of the last of the Mohicans, fortunately. And so here I am. I'm sitting at this company in 2010, the end of 2010, going into 2011. And a lot of my friends who had, sort of raised me at John Wieland, or been my brothers and sisters at John Wieland, had spread. And then some of them had recognized that I think this thing might start to have a little bit of a nose up. And a couple of my good buddies went out on their own. One of them happens to be my current business partner, Shane. And so I watched what they were doing, and I thought to myself, I am at a place where I think I have grown to where I can grow to in this company.
Okay.
And I think that I have something to offer out there, in the world at large. And then if I'm being just super plain about it, I thought, I think I can make a lot more money if I go do this way. And because of that decade of just, floundering, I really needed to hit my 30s and 40s hard.
I got some time to make up.
To have an opportunity to maybe retire at some point in my life. And so
what is that?
I don't know. It's probably not going to happen, but not for choice, or not because I can't, but maybe because I can't. And so anyway, all that to say, I decided, all right, why not? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give this a run. And I was fortunate enough that I was able to do some fee building for some folks. Shane and his business partner at the time, I was part of Brightwater Homes, the original crowd of cast of characters there. And then one more little move, I got recruited back to Wieland in 2013, the end of 2013, from a former colleague and professional who needed somebody to run their custom home building division, which was going to give me this opportunity to have some executive leadership that I hadn't had yet. And I really needed to take that opportunity. So I went back to Wieland for a couple more years. And in that time, Shane decided to peel off on his own and do something very custom. And at the same time, Pulte bought John Wieland. And that's a great company, and they build a really great product. But it's very much a production product. And I enjoy the creativity and the chaos, candidly sometimes, that comes with doing something super, custom. And so at the same time, as Shane was peeling off from his thing and Pulte bought John Wieland, we decided, hey, we love each other. We're like a brother and sister duo. We've always had a similar passion, and we're very different. Shane and I are almost polar opposites in many ways. He's this big creative visionary who loves to do things more than once.
Yes, I do know that about him.
He will do them over and over and over again.
Clip that out.
Until they're, amazing.
He's an ultimate creative, though, and
yes.
Sometimes the good is in the second and the third when when it's the creative part. Operations, they're going to cut your throat.
That's right.
So
That's right. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and then I get excited about making that really chaotic, creative thing efficient.
Right.
It's kind of the thing that I can do better than a lot of folks, is to say, all right, I know we need the chaos for this to be really great.
Right.
I know that we need this creative, iterative process for this to be great, but I'm going to find the place where I can put some guardrails on it and find the box, and then I'm going to find a way to translate it and keep it moving so that my team can execute on it. And that's how we got together. So we started South Haven in 2016. And we're in our 9th year in business, and it's been a wild ride since then. We're primarily a custom home builder. We build luxury residential product, but because of our deep history at John Wieland, where we did a lot of things, commercial and residential, we've had the opportunity to get involved in a project that we're working on together, this luxury clubhouse.
And there's so much that we can talk about there. So I just want to point out something that I think is a good lessons learned. We're talking a lot this season on the Banko Buzz about these these seasons that we have along the way in our career journey, and that timing is everything, and that you can have this end game of, hey, I want to be here, this is what I want to do, but your story is a great map out of that. You had all these touch points, these different seasons, but also these different positions that you held that taught you different things, that gave you skill sets along the way that really made it. You're this culmination, right, of these things that got you to where you are today, and it made sense. It might not have made sense 20 years ago, right?
Sure.
Because you wouldn't have had these things along the way. So I think that that's something that we try as more seasoned folks in our career journey to remind some of those that are maybe just starting or just, early in their careers. Like, it's okay to have those seasons. Like, you're not going to, and it's okay to pivot. We never saw the crash coming in '08. I graduated in '08. Yeah. I was like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to come out of design school. I was going to change the world. And it was like, no work, So it was like, yeah, time out. Organize the library again, Melissa. It's like, okay. So I think it's good to point that out, that you've got to learn those things, and you've got to say, okay, have I learned all the things that I've learned at this, and I'm going to move on to the next thing, and just stack that up. But also, something I want to point out too is that this traditional sort of education track is not for everybody. College is not for everybody. In our industry, yes, we do require that there's a foundational bit. You have to have these skill sets. There's a degree that comes along with that. But so much of what we learn and what we apply, it's street taught. Like, you're learning it along. It's getting in the grit. It's asking the questions. It's doing and failing. It's asking tons of questions. Even as long as you practice, you just have to continue to learn, be a forever learner. And I think we forget that sometimes, where it's like, well, so-and-so has this degree hanging on the wall, so they're super smart. What does that experience look like? What have we learned in the field? Because that's so much more valuable to get out and learn those things. And don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, Agree with that?
For sure. And I think there's so much opportunity, I could go on for days, but there's so much opportunity in education to reshape that.
Sure.
Because I think there are, it's funny, there's a gentleman that we've met recently who's a timber framer, and he went through a traditional college degree program, and very similar to my story. Like, he made it through, but he just trudged through and he hated it. Checked the box. But then he found his way to this trade school that was a building fine art trade school.
How cool is that?
Taught him this old school, mortise and tenon timber framing skill. And I just think there's so much opportunity for that throughout our industry, and probably throughout several others.
Absolutely.
Bring back that artisan and that handcrafted, quality product that we all yearn for, right? When we see it in design, where our whole body responds to it, when it's authentic. But there's so little of it because, there's so little of us that know how to do those things. And I just think there's a huge opportunity, especially, maybe even especially with AI coming along
I was about to say, AI is not going to take over someone installing something. AI is going to take over a lot from a creative standpoint. I hate to be the one to tell you, but technology is going to continue to advance. So we're going to have to navigate that as creatives. But what it's never going to replace? Needing cabinets installed and millwork design, installed. And those are dying trades. Like, those are niches that it's really hard to find quality. You've got guys that can help maybe pump out things in speed, but like the building that we're working on together, it's a residential design, but it's a lot of detailing and a lot of millwork and a lot of exquisite ceilings and lots of detail. It's like, who's doing that,
right?
And so if you're young and you're thinking like, well, I would love to be design adjacent, and commercial design is really cool, but I enjoy working with my hands and I want to actually make the things, build the things. Sure. There's a huge opportunity in our industry to help fill these seats for tradesmen. I feel like I just got on a little bit of like a soapbox.
Me too.
Because, we need it, right? So there's opportunity there to really help fulfill, what these developers are asking for.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. So biggest lesson learned in your career today, like what's something you wish you would have known sooner?
Oh my goodness. That imposter syndrome is the dumbest thing ever.
But it's real.
It's so real, right?
Do you still struggle with it?
100%, right?
Really?
Yeah, of course.
I do too.
Yeah, because we're
I was just
human.
talking to somebody the other night about it, and I said, "Do you have it too?" It was like maybe after a couple martinis, and we were being real.
Right?
It's
But yeah,
real.
it's real, right? It's that same thing that, maybe I just talked about, but it's the trying to make myself match something that I think that society is looking for, or sitting in a room full of men maybe who, I have something to say, I have something meaningful to contribute, and I feel like I need to sit back and not say the thing.
Yeah.
And so
It's
yeah,
dumb.
it's
Don't do
super
that,
dumb. Don't do
ladies.
imposter syndrome, right?
Lean in.
I remember, it's so funny. One of my funny stories about that is I remember going to my first closing on some land, right? We were going to close on some land that we were going to build on. And I show up and I'm literally signing the paperwork for the bank to give me a lot of money to buy the land and to build this house. And I'm sitting there going, do they know? Do they know that I'm the kid from Fall River that couldn't get a claw in the rug when I was 28? Like,
you earned it, though.
and
you earned it.
But that's the thing that creeps in, right?
Sure.
And so I think, the biggest lesson learned is show up, and then maybe the thing that helps me overcome that is authenticity, right? I recognize that if I show up and I'm fully me, in whatever version that is, and sometimes it's sharp elbows and sometimes it's a big warm heart, but if I'm fully who I am, that's what the world responds to. That's what my colleagues respond to. That's what my team responds to. That's what we all respond to. It's the same thing as the handcrafted thing, the authentic human, I think, that just brings their whole self and says, okay, I don't get it. I'm going to raise my hand. Tell me that one more time.
Yeah. You can't fake it. And I think something that I learned that is sort of parallel to that is, first of all, if you're faking it, people can tell.
Sure.
But it took me a lot later in life and in my career to just be okay that I'm not everybody's person.
Sure.
So it's like, if I am me, and, I've gotten comments from owners, from contractors, she's just, she is very opinionated. It's like, well, I'm not opinionated. I was actually hired to, design and manage these things. It's, being you, it's okay that you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Have you ever seen that? It's like, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm more like bold espresso. And it takes a little while to just be okay being the bold espresso, because you do want to fit in and you want to be accepted and you want to be seen in a certain way that you think is how people want to see you.
Right.
But you're really you're shorting yourself,
For sure.
But again, I think you have to live the life that, and then because you've got to learn it yourself. Whoever's listening right now, like, we hope you take our advice, but you kind of just have to to learn through it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not only shorting yourself, you're shorting the people around you.
Oh,
Right?
Yeah. To just be you, it's okay.
Yeah,
and again,
it's
you're not going to
great.
be everybody's person. That's
It's
okay.
okay. Yeah.
You said to me when we first met, you said something along the lines of like, let's have a good time. Let's do some great work, but let's be kind along the way. And that just still rings in my ears. It's so simple. Is that your life motto? Like, is that what we're living by? Is that where you're at? If you had a life motto, would that be kind of the crux of it?
It's the goal.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And not every day. Sometimes I'm unkind. Sometimes I'm impatient.
Is it when the design team is driving you crazy?
It's
okay.
hilarious.
It's a safe space.
It's actually not. It's funny. Well, sometimes. Back to not wanting to do things twice. But yeah, generally it's not the design. But
it's okay. You can say we drive you crazy sometimes. It's okay.
Designers sometimes
love
drive me crazy. Builders, my own people sometimes drive me crazy. I'm an imperfect, human just like the rest of us. But,
yeah, we are too.
But that thing for sure, that's the goal: to be kind, to have fun, to do something great. Something great that people are going to appreciate living their lives in. I'm super sentimental. That's also a core value of mine. I love my family. I love my roots. I love where I come from. And so I love the idea of building places that other humans get to do that thing in, so.
Is that what you want to be remembered for? Legacy you're laying on your, heaven forbid, your deathbed one day.
Yeah.
Is that the legacy that you want to leave behind? Is that the...
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that my path didn't lead me to actually having a child, a biological child. But it led me to building some incredible spaces that families get to enjoy. And I get to see families growing up on Instagram and Facebook and on the porch that I spent a bunch of time figuring out those last little details to make it beautiful. And so yeah, that's ultimately what I hope my legacy to be. I hope that someday, I remember being early in my career and I realized that there was a trim profile that a woman builder had developed in the Randall Brothers catalog. And I was like, that is the coolest thing ever. That's like a lady builder's trim profile, and she will forever be known as that, that trim profile. If you need a story, yeah. And I thought that was so nifty, and so I think, yeah, if people will remember that I built a great building, or I helped build a great building with a bunch of other cool humans, that's for sure a legacy that I'd be proud of.
Well, I mean, listen, what we do all day is, yes, we design and we build, but it's so much more about the space and the experience. It's less about the paint color or what the ceiling looks. It's invoking feeling, and it's creating experiences and memories, because that truly will live forever. The building is going to age. It's going to get renovated. It may get knocked down one day. But what users of your spaces, the memories that they're making, like that shit lives on forever. And that's really cool when you think about that, that it's something bigger than just the day to day. And so we just adore you. We adore working with you. I could sit and talk to you forever. We appreciate all that you've taught us today on inclusion and being authentic and just living your life, and doing what you love, and learning along the way. So thanks for coming and hanging out with me today on the Banko Buzz. That's a wrap.